What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, the Carolina Collector. Before I begin, I want to say thank you so much to each and every single one of you for helping to make this channel possible. God bless you all. If you like what you see and you enjoy the content, I'd appreciate it if you would subscribe. Smash that like button, comment in the comments section below, and hit the bell to receive notifications. I do have an eBay store called the Carolina Collector 001. Click on the link in the description box below. It'll take you right to my eBay store if you're interested in baseball cards and various other items. And if you want to make a small one-time donation to the channel, click on the coffee link. That link is also in the description box below. I want to thank my friends, family, neighbors, YouTube subscribers, my mom who I spoke to today. Today is Monday, and I was on the phone with her for 2 hours talking about some stuff. God bless my mother, man. She's a trooper. You know, again, I want to thank my neighbors and my friends where I live here, all of you. I have been reading your messages, by the way, and sorry I haven't been responding. I just needed a day to take a break from everything and just give myself a timeout, collect myself, and just try to get back on track yet again. You know what I mean, folks? A lot of drama has come across this channel, unfortunately, but thank you for your continued support. I wanted to get into this as an addendum to the video that I made fairly recently talking about my eBay store where my sales have dropped. And again, I've seen fellow eBay store owners and fellow eBay sellers who have also had a significant drop in their sales. You know, and I theorized that it has a lot to do with, you know, good old Orange Man in the White House, who, of course, was standing on stage with the Spanish national team after they won the World Cup, you know, trying to get a little credit. Oh, yeah, he did bring the World Cup here, but get the fuck out of the way. It's not about you. It's about the team. You know what I mean? As you know, I stopped supporting Trump weeks ago because I'm sick and tired of his little wars in Iran and in Russia and Ukraine and all that kind of stuff. I'm tired of the tariffs. I'm tired of the high gas prices. Doesn't matter if you're Democrat, Republican, right or left. We, the American people, I think we can agree that we're all fed up with the bullshit that we're being spoon-fed by these people. But, you know, I theorize it's because of Trump and his pathetic wars. Of course, the tariffs have a lot to do with that, which also, by extension, has a lot to do with the high gas prices, the cost of food. It is summertime. The kids are off from school. So more parents are pumping money into their kids because the kids are home. So people are probably taking vacations and going out and doing all that kind of stuff. The gas prices are still high, especially here in my area in Charlotte. You know, I'm still paying over $3 and change for a gallon of gas. When I first left New York, you know, it was like $1 and change. It's still a lot of money for people down here. And unfortunately, now what's going on with all of these vicious storms that are happening, that's one of the main reasons why I called my mother in New York. You know, God bless her, after my father died, you know, she's really had to put up with a lot by herself. You know, and trying to explain plumbing as to why her refrigerator doesn't work to a 70-year-old woman on the phone is very difficult. All of you that have senior citizen parents will know what I'm talking about. Like when my father was alive, he knew nothing about computers at all. He had no idea about computers and cell phones. If I try to tell him about this phone that I'm using right here to record my videos, he'd be like, I don't give a shit. You know how they are. They're very set in their ways, the old timers. But I was more worried because of the floods that are going on up there. And some of it is happening in the South. In particular, I believe in Texas, they've had floods recently. And now there's a tropical storm developing out there. So people are under pressure from left and right. And nobody's spending money. And I theorized about that. And we as eBay sellers have now had to come up with all kinds of ingenious ways to, you know, drive traffic onto our eBay stores, or into our eBay stores, I should say, for proper English. And recently I've discussed how my eBay store now is almost entirely promoted. Every listing, except for maybe 50 or 60 listings, I got to do the rest when I have some time, are all promoted at a 2% rating. So after taxes and fees and shipping has been paid for, instead of paying the obligatory 13%, it is now 15% that comes out of my take, which is a chunk of change. But unfortunately, in order to garner any type of movement or profit for myself, I've had to incorporate the promoted listings. And the one thing that I have noticed is that there is more traffic coming into my eBay store. I do have, and I don't want to dox my customers here, I did get, how can I show this here? All right, I'll just cover up their name. I did get 3 sports card orders right here, so they're going to go out hopefully sometime today. It is hot outside again. But I did manage to get 3 more orders of baseball cards. And I have 2 auctions going on right now that received bids that should sell. And I do have watchers on my other high ticket priced items who will hopefully and most likely place bids on those items as well. So in other words, I've had to diversify and kind of move away from baseball cards because unfortunately, and this is not me scolding or admonishing baseball card collectors or sports card collectors in any way, but unfortunately, the hobby has shifted into an area of greed where all they care about are autographs, parallels, relics, or a combination of the 3. Everything else to them is just stuff you would stuff in your wall if you're going to plaster your wall and insulate your home from the cold winters and then plaster it up. Nobody cares about, paper. Nobody cares about common cards unless they're high-profile rookies like Shohei Ohtani or Andy Pajes or Aaron Judge or whoever it may be. Nobody cares about these cards, and I'm clearly seeing that at my eBay store. I have been moving a little bit more paper at this point, but it's not the kind of movement I would like to see. Like recently I sold a Gamma .177 Swarm Maxim. I've sold, I think, 1 or 2 Transformers toys. As a matter of fact, the War for Cybertron Seekers I was able to sell. I had to really drop my price because I saw what they were going for. And in order to remain competitive, I had no choice but to lower my price. And it's way less than what I paid for the 3 of them. Starscream, Thundercracker, and Skywarp. I sold a Gamma PT-85 pellet pistol for way lower than I wanted to. I really had no choice, I understand people are struggling, but when it comes to me making any kind of profit out of this stuff, what I've paid into it, I'm clearly not getting back. I am getting something back, but it's not quite what I'm hoping for. And it's just, right now, in order to remain competitive on eBay, I have no other choice. And to see that more traffic is coming onto my eBay store's page or into my eBay store, it's a good thing. But, it does get stressful because if I'm not moving product, I'm not making money. So, unfortunately, I've had to, diversify. Now, with that being said, as you know, I have a really extensive collection of jerseys and hats and stuff like that. I actually recently listed a 9/11 New York Yankees hat with the MLB logo that's ironed onto the side of the hat. I started the auction at $10. I had originally listed it, I think, for 16 or 18 bucks, and it didn't move. I'm like, I better put this up for auction because otherwise nobody's going to even be interested in this thing. Even though it had 16 views, it had no watchers. Now there's a watcher, and it's got like 7 views or 6 views. It's got very few views, but I had to promote that listing in order to get it to get into circulation. Even though I have a 100% feedback rating, I now have, what is it, like 3,500 items sold with over 2,000 feedbacks at this point. Positive feedbacks, which is great because that helps you in the algorithm as well if you maintain that. But now when I promote my listings, it shoots me up even further and puts me into even deeper competition. In other words, the pool has got much deeper now. It all depends on who's willing to spend money. And right now, nobody's doing that because, well, unless you're with family and friends or you plan a night out or something like that where you budget yourself, unfortunately, just people are not willing to spend that disposable income. And it's hard to know what to do, and that's what has forced me now to go into my personal collection. Even though, like I said, I have a lot of jerseys. That's my authentic Jackson Dart jersey, the Vapor Fuse Elite jersey that I reviewed here on the channel. And a lot of jerseys that don't fit me. Obviously, as of today, I'm 189 pounds. You all know I lost a ton of weight. I lost close to 100 pounds over the past few years. So a lot of my jerseys and shirts and clothing don't fit me anymore. And some of the jerseys I put up for sale, either I don't wear them or they're simply too big. And I do have like 2 or 3 jerseys I will be listing. I just need to find time. I've been all over the place this weekend trying to forget about what happened. I really don't want to talk about what happened with my most recent ex-girlfriend. That's a dumpster fire, unfortunately. And quite frankly, after discussing this with my mother and my sister, she's a sociopath. Just like every other ex-girlfriend I've been with, they're all sociopaths. They have no remorse, no sympathy, and they are, by definition, narcissistic. But that's another subject for another time. So I'm just trying to keep myself occupied and busy and trying to get back on track for my own sake and for all of you that are eBay customers of mine that support this channel and the messages that I've been putting out there. And I appreciate how all of you have been really, really coming to my aid in all of this. Many of you have gone through this yourselves. But as an eBay seller, it's hard to know and it's hard to gauge what's going to sell. And when it comes to sports cards right now, it's just not, at least in my opinion, it's not viable. Autographs, parallels, relics, or a combination of the three are the only things that people are interested in. But what's going to happen if there is a Major League Baseball lockout or a walkout next season, what they've been talking about? Everything's going to tank. And unless you're one of those name players, Paul Skeens, Aaron Judge, Ben Rice, nobody's gonna buy this stuff. There are no more old-fashioned card collectors, completionists that want the complete sets. And they do sell complete sets at several retailers, but they literally don't go out there hunting out these cards anymore. And, unfortunately, if it wasn't for the fact that there are so many subsets now, Topps Finest, Topps Chrome Black, and, Platinum Anniversary, and blah, 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 there's just too much product out there for people to choose from. And, of course, the chase is on for these premium cards, the parallels, the autos, refractors, X-fractors, shimmers, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. And everything else is just left to the wayside. If you want to ask anybody what that's like, go to Striker Breaks and watch what he did on his channel. He lit a whole bunch of junk wax on fire on his property, and rightfully so. Because it just takes up room and takes up space, and there are thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of these junk wax cards out there that nobody gives a rat's ass about. The hobby in that aspect, unfortunately, is dead. And unless you're a high-profile player like Jackson Churio, for example, or somebody like that, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Shohei Ohtani is another example. Nobody cares. So I've had to diversify. And thank God I have enough stuff in my personal collection that I can trim some fat. After that, I took out a bank loan just to get a jump on things. Unfortunately, I was approved just like that, which really took a lot of relief. And at the rate that I got it for, 8% is fucking awesome, folks. But that helped me get a jump on a lot of stuff, again, because of what happened with this woman and how much it cost me financially to keep her afloat. Look what I got in return. I got a sociopath. Maybe I'll do a live stream about that. But again, I don't really want to dive into that subject because it's just going to drive me mad. But I've been able to recover money very quickly and got all my bills paid off until it's time to pay the rent. And then, of course, the next billing cycle will come and I'll be way ahead, minus a bill that'll probably cost me $25 to $30 every month to pay off this loan, which hopefully I can get done in short order. But, when you come into these issues in life where you have family problems, maybe a sibling is sick, you lost your job, or you've had to take a pay cut, maybe you have an illness, or you're going through a hard time like divorce or whatever it is, or you've got kids and you have a wife that's pressuring you to spend your money to go on vacation or something. It's not easy, man. Maybe, you have car payments to pay, you have a mortgage to pay. It's becoming very difficult for people. And now, again, I mentioned, as I guess you want to call me a former Trump supporter at this point, I'm still going to vote Republican. But Trump has let all of us down with these tariffs, these high gas prices. Yeah, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. But he didn't follow through with what he said he was going to do. Where's the stimulus checks he was talking about? What about lowering those gas prices? What about ending these tariffs? As a YouTube content creator that wants to do reviews on the channel, if I were to try, obviously I got this, I tried to get the reservation for my copy of Studio 86 or Studio Series 86 Hot Rod here. I had to order this from a website in Canada. So what happened? Because I couldn't get it from Target, I had to pay a tariff on this thing. Want to know how much? Approximately $25 to $30, somewhere in that price range. On top of what it costs for shipping and taxes already. Don't worry, folks. I'll get to doing these reviews soon. I just wanted to get this off my chest because it's aggravating. But at least I'm still getting eBay sales and I am getting traffic coming through my eBay store because of the promoted listings, but it's still not enough. Unfortunately, it's not at the numbers that I'm used to seeing. And a lot of that is because of the sports card hobby being as greedy and as selfish as it is, and the nature of what the hobby has become. That's why Topps is doing away with cellophane paper wrapping on their boxes, because of the scalpers and the breakers, unfortunately. And the fact that the economy tanked. The economy sucks, and nobody's willing to spend disposable income anymore. And everybody's trying to get something for cheap. I've been getting multiple messages about some of my listings trying to get me to come down to these draconian prices that I refuse to do. I need to make my money as well. We all want to make money. I'm not trying to be greedy. You all know I try to sell things for as cheap as I can. I'll comp and recomp and recomp and recomp. And it gets to a point where I have to be realistic. I have to try to make as much money as I can, put money back in my pocket too. I have a roof over my head to pay for. Remember, I'm on a fixed income after this. I've all told you my story already about my activities at the World Trade Center from September 12th to September 16th, and the damage that has done to me emotionally and spiritually and personally, with things that happened with me. What drove me to become homeless, what drove me to moved down here to Charlotte 10 years ago, and I've had to reboot my life, and nobody's given me a pat on my back. Nobody said great job for saving yourself, because unfortunately it's the bystander effect. Nobody gives a shit until you're dead. Then all of a sudden you're a hero and everybody loves you and he was a great guy. But when you're going through periods of hard times, nobody cares. Nobody cares about you. Unfortunately, you're left to fend for yourself, and it's really disgusting. Thank God I still have a handful of friends that genuinely care about me, and I do care about them as well, and they know that. But, unfortunately with everything else, to be realistic, it's tough for a lot of people out there. And I'm trying to make the best of it with what I can and trying to switch things up and experiment with different things over at my eBay store. It's a real mixed bag right now. Hopefully when the weather cools down and the kids are back to school and a little bit of this fear goes away with people not wanting to spend their disposable income, we'll see what happens. But again, I am still getting some eBay sales. They're coming in drips and dribbles and all that kind of stuff. I did get these 3 orders over the weekend, so I'll get these out to my customers hopefully today, because I do have some mail I have to mail out to the post office anyway. But I am grateful for all of you that continue to support my small business. I just renewed my business license recently. That cost me over $300. I think it was like $345 through LegalZoom. And I want to keep this going. I want to be my own boss. I'm very comfortable working out of my own home. I love doing this kind of stuff, even though it can get a little tricky sometimes, as I'm really not, over time you've been watching what's been going on with this channel. I try to be personable. I try to be friendly. I try to be cordial. I'm not exactly the wild child that I used to be anymore. I'm pushing 50 years old, folks. I can't afford to be a wild child anymore. There are more days behind than there are ahead at this point in my life. I can't afford to be a wild child anymore. And you have to grow up. You have to grow up after a while. You have to move past your infancy and do what you have to do. And unfortunately, in my case, you've all been watching what's been going on, folks. You just keep getting well, at least in my case, these people who are just fucking sociopaths and narcissists. They've used me, they've lied about me. There are people out there right now that continue to attack me for absolutely no reason at all, because they have a gripe against me, or they hate me, or they're just jealous. Whatever the reasons may be, I have to keep going and press on, because if I don't, they win and I lose. And I just have to keep fighting and doing what I got to do and what's best for me. So that's where I'm at with my eBay store. I will continue to list some stuff. I am trying to clear out my Transformers collection, because I got like 7 or 8 Optimus Primes. I have one that's for sale right now over at my eBay store that's up for auction. It's that Transformers Devastation Optimus Prime that I put like 2 or 3 upgrade kits into it. And unfortunately, I tried to list it for buy it now. Nobody bit. I've had to put it up for an auction at much less than what I paid for the toy itself, plus the upgrades. And now I have several Transformers, because now I got these down here that I need to review. And I have Missing Link, Jesus, excuse me. I'm looking at my Ultra Magnus and my Optimus Prime on its new spot on the shelf there. Ironhide, pardon me. Missing Link Ironhide, I actually put the pre-order in for a pre-order. I hate using that term. It's improper English. I reserved my copy. I have Studio Series 86 Skywarp and not Thundercracker. I have Thundercracker, Skywarp, and Starscream. Oh man, I'm really dropping the ball here, aren't I, folks? This is all staying in, by the way. Yeah, I have Skywarp and Starscream. They're in transit and should be here midweek this week, so that'll add to the already insane backlog of stuff that I need to review here on the channel. It's just, yikes. Sooner or later, folks, I promise you. I do come through eventually. It just takes time. But I've been going through a lot. Again, this gauntlet of people that have come across my path that are, by definition, in my opinion, sociopaths, have really derailed everything I want to do. But yet again, I still persist. I still survive. I still keep going, and I'm not going to stop. Not for anybody. And when it comes to my eBay store, I'm going to continue to do what I do. And try to diversify and mix things up a little bit, and hopefully make some people happy out there and make a little money for myself. And and we'll see what happens, folks. In the meantime, I only have the future to look forward to. So again, thank you everybody, to my friends, family, neighbors, my mom, my mom in particular, all of you across the board, my eBay customers. God bless you. Take care. Stay safe. I am your host, the Carolina Collector. I will see you all very soon.